In this video, I'm going to help out with a comment by doing some homework. So I'm going to talk about the Russian economy. If you ask me what's most interesting about Russia's economy right now, it's that Russia's a country at war, right? They've been sanctioned, had their money seized, but they're still standing. Not only are they surviving, they're actually growing a lot, and they're being really tough about it too. Can you believe that since Russia attacked Ukraine, Western countries have seized a total of $300 billion from them? And that's not all. They've also been hit with more than 16,000 sanctions, like a machine gun barrage. Yet the Russian economy is still doing fine. Nothing seems to have happened to it. And it's been growing really well. So much so that President Vladimir Putin, back in February, spoke at a forum in Russia called the Everything Victory Forum. CBS reported that he said, "I'd like to give one finger to the Western sanctions," meaning the finger they commonly raise in the West. He clarified it wasn't the index finger. "But I don't want to raise it because there are many ladies in this room. And if I were to raise it, then it would..." Looks rude. Whoa. Let me tell you about Russia's economy as it entered wartime, how it grew, how things heated up. Recently, Russia issued a warning, basically saying, "Don't touch my money." That's because right now, the United States has just approved its latest budget of $61 billion to support wars in various countries. Part of that is allocated to Ukraine to attack Russia. So America is sending money over. Sending money to Ukraine to attack Russia already sounds intense, right? But that's not the boiling point yet. The real boiling point is here. The United States and Europe are now working together to approve a bill that would allow them to use about $300 billion seized from Russia since the sanctions began. They want to use the money taken from Russia to strike back at Russia through Ukraine. Wow, now that's really heating things up. Recently, Valentina Matvienko, a high-ranking Russian politician, issued a warning that if Europe or anyone else dares to touch Russia's money, they will lose more than we have lost. However, Valentina didn't specify exactly what retaliatory measures they would take. She just said, "Go ahead and try it. I guarantee you'll be surprised." The Kremlin government also stated that if Western countries, both America and Europe, dare to touch the money they've seized from Russia, that would be a violation of international law and would seriously discredit both America and the European nations. This topic could become perfect fuel for Putin and his government to go on a world tour to attack the dollar or promote de-dollarization. Meanwhile, Russia is sitting and waiting to see if anyone will actually touch what was confiscated and taken from them. They're not just sitting around doing nothing. They've also seized various Russian financial assets held in JP Morgan. Specifically, VTB Bank, which is a major Russian state-owned bank, has filed a formal lawsuit to legally recover all the Russian money held at JP Morgan. The arbitration court of the St. Petersburg and Leningrad region in Russia, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it, has now ordered the seizure of funds worth $439 million from JP Morgan, which is a major American bank. Even though the process is complicated and the parties are far apart, if the defendant wants anything, just say it, and they'll try to find it until they can't. In this case, the defendant, JP Morgan, had nothing to argue, no intention to contest, just the money they have to pay, $440 million. All right, let's get into the Russian economy now. Since Russia entered the war, not only has its economy not collapsed, but it's actually been growing strongly. What's going on here? Even the IMF has come out and predicted that Russia's GDP will grow by 3.2%. If that's the case, it means Russia is the largest economy that's growing rapidly, even outpacing all of the G7 countries. Did you know that the total amount of money seized from Russia is $300 billion? How much is that? If you convert $300 billion to Thai baht, that's about 10 trillion baht. Actually, it's even more than 10 trillion baht. And did you know that Thailand's annual budget is only about 3 trillion baht? That means 10 trillion baht is equivalent to the entire budget Thailand uses for everything, for every ministry, for the whole country for over 3 years. And that's not even counting the 16,000 sanctions that have been imposed on Russia. So where does Russia get its money from? Where does its economy come from? It comes from selling oil. Well, Russia was sanctioned on oil sales since the very beginning when they attacked Ukraine, right? So why haven't they suffered or taken any real damage? Russia has already said it. They haven't been hurt at all by the sanctions on oil trade with Europe. Back then, someone even blew up Nord Stream, which is the pipeline that sends oil from Russia to Europe, basically cutting it off so they couldn't secretly sell it anymore. Though, honestly, they're still secretly selling it. So when Russia got cut off from Europe, banned from exporting oil to Europe, it didn't shake them at all because Russia quickly turned to China. And for Russia to cozy up to China wasn't hard at all. Besides their good relationship and the fact that they have similar styles of government, when it comes to trade, Russia is really good at courting. They also know China's weaknesses very well, how to win China over. This strategy, honestly, anyone can use if you want to win over the Chinese. Just follow Russia's lead. And that is the way to reduce prices, because the Chinese really love good quality things at a low price. And when Russia sells cheap oil to China, it gives China a competitive edge over other countries. That's because China can produce industrial goods or anything else at a lower cost than others. When Russia started selling oil to China, they even gave China the biggest discount ever, up to $40 per barrel. But they didn't keep giving China such a huge discount the whole time. Now the discount has dropped to about $20 per barrel, and it looks like it might keep getting smaller and smaller. Let's look at this graph. This is a chart from the Financial Times. The pink line shows that Russia has become China's #1 oil supplier. And here's another graph, also from the Financial Times, which shows that the volume of oil that China imports from Russia, the pink bars, has shot up dramatically. It's a huge amount. In fact, that's why right now, Russia is able to sell oil at $1.5 billion per month. Before the war, they were selling at $1.7 billion per month. So their revenue hasn't really dropped much at all since the war started. And Russia has also taken this opportunity to turn the crisis into an advantage, which has helped their economy. Well, to be honest, it's basically a war economy. The government is taking the revenue from oil sales and spending it within the country. And when the government has a lot of expenses and injects that money into the country, it helps the national economy grow. That's why products related to the war effort have seen a huge surge in growth, whether it's computers or electronics, which have grown by 32.8%. Metal products grew by 27.8%. Products related to transportation and logistics grew by 25.5%. The Kremlin also predicts that Russia's GDP will continue to grow at this rate for another 3 years because of the ongoing war. Wow, does that mean this kind of war will drag on for another 3 years? So the $61 billion that the US just approved doesn't seem likely to bring the Russia-Ukraine war to an end at all. With all this increased revenue and cash flow, Russia's power is getting a serious boost. In 2024, Russia announced a 26% increase in its fiscal budget, bringing it up to 36.6 trillion rubles. It's not hard to guess where most of that budget is going, mainly to the military. Military spending is now soaring, making up 30% of the entire budget. According to a graph from The Economist, it shows that Russia's military budget has increased by 200% since 2020. With all this extra funding and military power, they've also added another 170,000 soldiers. And that's not even counting the cooperation between Russia and Saudi Arabia in OPEC+, where they've teamed up to repeatedly cut oil production, which has driven oil prices up significantly. As a result, Russia is now able to money is pouring into the country nonstop, giving Russia plenty of funds to keep waging war for quite a while. In contrast, European countries are seeing negative GDP growth or are already in a recession, and they're having to really tighten their belts just to keep up with the United States. sending money to support wars, whether it's in Ukraine, helping Israel, or even preparing to confront China. If you found this video helpful or if the information was valuable, please show your support for me, Sai, and for more videos like this by just hitting like and subscribing to my channel. That's all. And don't forget to come back and follow MoneyMonster again. Thank you.